to Meadows and Makers podcast.
With Jack Dub and making stuff. Peace.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another week of the Meadows and Makers podcast here on the MSP Waves. Today, I have a couple guests for you that we're going to go through some exciting new stuff that's happening on Steemit. And my first guest has a really cool announcement for a new project that they got going on. And so just up front here, just to do a disclaimer that the views and opinions expressed by myself and those of my guests do not reflect on MSP Waves or the people that keep this beautiful operation running. So this show is for education and entertainment purposes only. So there you go. There's your disclaimer. So for a little while now, I've been wanting to kind of come up with a little bit of a show ethos or show theme and a little bit of a takeaway for everybody on the show. And so this is one of the things, the tagline I believe that I'm going to create for the show is that I will be an inextinguishable light of possibilities for myself and others. And that's just a mantra that I want to create for this show and to kind of carry out into the future of doing this podcast. You know, there's a lot of division, there's a lot of things going on in our world right now, and I think one thing that we can all connect with is the ability to have good food and have love and joy for each other, and that's something that I really want to try to manifest. And so, you know, part of that manifestation is to kind of tell yourself whatever you're trying to do, that it's already done. Then take those steps and the actions required to make that happen. And so one of the guys that I follow and my first guest today, some of you guys might be familiar with him. His name is his nickname, I guess, is the Yeti, and it's also his handle is Freedom Point here on Steemit. And he and his family have been on quite a journey. They've kind of done a big tour of the U.S. and you know, let go of their homestead, and then kind of went on a journey, and the journey hasn't ended. So we'll get to hear about his story and get to know the Yeti a little bit better and see what's new and see what's going on, catch up with him. So, all right. Hey Yeti, how's that for an intro?
Oh, that was an amazing intro. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
No, I'm super nervous. I have stage fright. You know, I'm afraid of talking in front of people.
Oh no.
No, not even a little bit.
Well, yeah, I was about to say that might have been a little bit of an issue for you. Definitely would have got over that for your daily videos that you do.
Oh, amen.
Which is a pretty impressive feat. You put out a lot of content, and keeping up with those daily videos is like, I don't know how you do it, man. Like doing all the editing and all that stuff. I don't know if you just try to get it all in one take, or you just kind of go for it.
Yeah, actually, I always do it in one take. Wow. So Stacy D, my wife Stacy D, she's Freedom to Write. She challenged me to do a daily vlog every day for a year. You know, we take Sunday as our day of rest. You know, that's how we take the Sabbath on Saturday. Saturday. And so I'll take one day a week where I didn't do it. So you're talking still 6 days a week, wherever we were at. And I do it on my phone with a selfie stick. I use my earbuds as a microphone, and I get it all in one take because I have one continuous thought that I want to share. And then I would use an app called Vlogit to edit it, put it together to make it something that I would want. And then I would load it up. I load it to DTube as well as YouTube.
Oh, wow. That's impressive. So you're doing all that just from your phone, or you having to load it on a computer or anything?
Nope. Everything still is on our phone. So
wow.
You're talking about, so we have, well, on my phone, what I use specifically is I do all of Freedom Point, and I was managing my aspects of the GHSC, and then I was doing other social medias, Twitter, YouTube, all of that. I was doing all my videos, all my writing, all my photography, everything, all my pictures, editing, everything's on my phone.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
like a one-stop shop.
Yeah, I hope that's a big screen because like I know I got fat fingers and it's hard to input all the data, you know.
Actually, I mean, not to plug a product, but I got an LG Stylo 3.
Uh-huh.
So it's a larger, I don't know, it's like 5.7-inch screen, and then it has a stylus. So when I also have the big finger issue, I can use a stylus.
Ah, okay. I gotcha. Very cool. Very cool. So, yeah, fill us in on man, you guys have been you've taken your family, you started on like a homestead in Missouri, right? And then you guys kind of you sold the property and then you guys kind of went on an adventure. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, so it's been pretty amazing. We're still on the adventure. We homesteaded Southern Missouri down in the Ozarks for about 5 years. And when we got down there, it was nothing but brush. And so we cut down trees, cut down deadfall. We had to tear down a cabin. We built our own cabin, built a barn, built a chicken coop, a 45 by 60 deep mulch garden. I started a business out of there. I made custom knives out of there. Everything was there.
Wow.
And we just knew it was that time. So we started praying through it. We're very faithful people, and we felt the Lord lead us to dump the property and hit the road full time. We're talking dump the property. I mean, not as in, just treat it like crap, but don't play the equity game. Just move on. So we we put it out for sale, and the next day we were contacted by a fellow who came from Eugene, Oregon,
Okay.
and he wanted our property. And you know by the end of the week, we had made a deal. So it was really really a quick process, and we headed out last summer. It was actually August 18th, and we headed out. We hit the road, and we kind of squiggled around a bit, and we really kicked it off in Toronto, Canada, for the Steam Creators Conference back in the very beginning of September.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
after that, we went across New York, down through Pennsylvania, Ohio, back to Missouri, up to Wisconsin, back down through Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, Colorado, Utah, Nevada. Where do we go? And we worked our way to California, then up around the South, and then we wrapped back up around to Missouri, back up to Ohio, and now up here in northern Michigan. So,
Wow.
we've done some amazing things. As our family, there's five of us and two dogs, and we stayed in a suburban, and we had a 4x8 utility trailer. We were minimalist. We sold or gave away nearly everything we owned. So we have like a bag of clothes a piece and a couple things that are important to us, and we hit the road. Because that's really finding what makes life. Like what makes us, and stuff doesn't make us. So we had everything we needed, but man, we had an adventure. We're on an adventure. We soaked in these things called penny pots, which are
Uh-huh.
hot tub type things up in the Rocky Mountains, where the hot springs come out of the side of the hill, and then you've got the snow melt river, and where they meet, people will take rocks and make these little hot tubs, the perfect temperature for soaking. If you're too hot, you just move a rock and the cold water comes in. You're too cold, you move a rock and there's more hot water. So you just sit there and soak. We camped up in the snow-capped mountains. I woke up to the sound of an elk bugling.
Yeah.
We've slept in the desert. We've met all sorts of people, all walks of life. We've been to the Great Redwoods, been to a couple of things like Golden Gate Bridge and all that kind of stuff, and we played on beaches, met many people, went through Las Vegas, but pretty much just taking in God's creation. And by taking in God's
Yeah.
creation, I'm not just talking about the earth, man. We're God's creation, so we were just taking in people as well. So it's like, we're all different. So to see God's creation was just incredible. So
Yeah, yeah, that's
yeah, man.
that's a journey that Yeah, that's a journey that you don't forget, and those moments and each one of those experiences just probably just really help you grow and help your help your kids grow, and I'm sure that that they enjoyed every minute of that.
Oh yeah, just like anything else, it has its ups and its downs.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's what
mean?
I
Like,
was about to say because I remember I took a big road trip with my family when I was about 16, and we were all about ready to kill each other by the time that was over with.
oh yeah, no, no, we didn't have really, emotional fallout. It wasn't emotional. I mean, by ups and downs, I mean like driving in the rain or in the Moab Desert when a storm picked up our tent and busted our pole, or like when we have car issues, stuff like that, ups and downs. But really the emotional fallout, I mean, it's just life and we roll with it, and the crappy stuff usually doesn't last too long, because we're human, but we just make do. So yeah, it's way more positive than negative, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's very cool. So was there, were there some of the highlights? Was there a big takeaway you had on this journey? And you said that you guys are still in the journey right now. So
Yeah,
what's
my big
that?
takeaway: people are stupid.
Okay.
Humans are stupid. You know what I mean? My big takeaway is we as humans, man, like, okay, so my biggest takeaway was just all of God's majesty all over, all of the creation, all of the people, all of the towns, the cities, the beautiful hills, the beautiful water. And what did I take away? It was like, we're destroying that. You know what I'm saying? We're
Okay.
like overcrowding certain areas. We are trashing it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And pretty much just like disconnecting ourselves from the world. And then you've got people that are literally just being silly. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make sense. So my big takeaway was actually getting able to see the fact of really like the stuff you see on the news when it's just like plastic everywhere. Well, yeah, man, it's like everywhere. You can't go anywhere without not seeing trash. So you go through some certain places and you just see uh, like fires where there were major fires or major logging and stuff like that. And I think that we're definitely on the wrong path. You know what I mean? As a
Yeah.
people, as a species, the entire world, we're on the wrong path. So my big takeaway was like, when I say stupid, I meant like ignorant. We're being ignorant. We're acting ignorantly. We want bigger. We want better. Our house isn't good, so we're going to buy another house, and our old house gets to sit empty, even though there's tons of homeless. You know what I mean? Or like throwing away so much food while people are starving. It's like all of
Yeah.
that stuff. There's no balance. So that was my big takeaway.
Yeah, I like that what you just said with the balance. I think there is an extreme lack of balance in the world right now, and I think we're all guilty of it with all the technology and everything now. It's just like you can get so wrapped into all of the media and endless entertainment and everything that's going on right now. It's just like it's so easy to get sucked into that world, but it's like it's so important, I think, to disconnect from all those things and just experience things, just like you're saying, just experience life, unplug.
Yeah, man. Now, like I'm saying, I'm not a perfect person, right? I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm drinking out of this really cool big purple plastic cup. It's like my favorite cup. You know what I mean? So I'm not like super all just drink out of metal and glass. Like, it's like I know that I'm not fixing the plastic problem, but not disregarding it at the same time, not just like throwing trash out windows. You know what I mean? Trying to be a little more conscious about it. So I don't know, man. We got to see a whole lot of stuff, and it was just so beautiful. My other takeaway was just how absolutely gigantic and beautiful the world is. So I know that's
Yeah.
contrast to what I said first, but to go out and see the ocean, like I was able to like turn my brain off and not think about Fukushima and radiation while we played in the Pacific Ocean. You know what I mean? Like because it was just so magnificent, but
Yeah.
and able to just be in the Rocky Mountains, or like my most amazing thing was when we were up almost, is Northern California, almost Oregon, up there the Great Redwoods and walking through. I walked barefooted for 2.5 miles through the Great Redwoods, and just to connect there. I mean, it was completely quiet, and the energy flowed. And at one point, there was a large tree had fallen, and they cut out a section. And I was standing in that section barefooted, and I put my hands on the tree and could feel that energy. You know what I mean? Like, there's major things that work. You're talking these things grow 1,500 years, and one day they just fall over.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I would love to get out there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then an average modern person's mind, they would say, well, that's a waste. What did they do? And it's like, oh, well, they just grew and then fell over. You know what I mean? It's like they didn't just grow and fall over. There's more. Like, everything has something behind it. It didn't just do this. You know what I mean? It did it for a reason, even if we don't know what it is.
Yeah, that's got to be something to be out there and to be in that forest. That's one of the places on my bucket list, is to go to Yosemite and see all those redwoods and everything. So yeah,
if you can make it all the way up to Northern California. We were all the way out on the coast, and you see those coastal redwoods, man. That one redwood was almost 24 feet in diameter. I mean, You're getting real giants out there, and they're really cool. We learned a lot about them, and just walking through, it was what I call a reality change. You know what I mean? A reality change. Yeah. Am I allowed to drop pictures here in the?
Yeah, man. Yeah, go crazy. Yeah, I wanted to put your profile up there too. Go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, let me see if I can find something here, because if I could show you just the reality of it, man, it's nuts. That's all I can say. Crazy.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, it's just so wow, you guys went all in on this thing, and so you're traveling all around and getting to see all these sites and meet a bunch of different people. Did you have a plan, or was it just kind of like go where life took you kind of thing?
Go where life took us. I'm not sure how to get this picture in here, because I can't just load it up directly.
You should be able to hit that plus in the chat there, and you should be able to add the whatever file you have, whatever picture. If you're in the MSP Waves audience chat, there's that little plus there in the audience chat. You should be able to hit that button, and then it'll queue you up your
right. I wanted to get it just before we move past. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to miss it.
Okay.
So, yeah, this should be it right here.
All right.
Let's see if we can
manipulate the technology, the tubes.
Yeah. Okay. So take a look at that picture. You see that picture I just dropped in there? Anybody that wants to jump in?
Wow.
Okay. Can you see those trees?
That looks like the Forest of Endor in Star Wars, man.
Right. Well, at the very center, at the bottom. Why don't you zoom in on there and tell me what you see?
Oh wow. Yeah. That is.
Can you see me standing there?
That's you? Oh wow.
Right in the very center. Do you see me? I'm standing there looking up at a tree.
Wow, you're so tiny.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm telling you, man. And you're talking. I'm standing there. I'm 6'5", 270, standing there, and I look like I'm nothing.
Wow. Yeah.
That's what I tell people. It was reality changing, because it's like, oh my gosh, those are so gigantic.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's a magical place, man.
Yeah. So we had no real idea. The idea was go. The idea was we lived on the road. So if you live on the road, what do you want to do? So we were just like, okay, everybody, we come together, kind of have a family meeting. What do you guys want to do? Man, I want to get to the Rockies. I want to get to the West Coast. And it's like, okay, well, while we're doing that, we didn't have to really hurry, because we didn't know where the adventure was going to end. So we just kind of worked our way over, and Next thing you know, we're at some Buffalo Bill museum in the middle of Kansas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that was cool because we get to go in and hang out in their on their nice leather couches. They let us do our dishes back in their kitchen. I mean, it was just like a really cool, like getting to, just meet people and have experiences. And we
Yeah.
just said, okay, well, where do you want to go now? And we'd start working our way towards something. Ultimately, I know that we all wanted to see the West Coast, the Pacific. That was the
Okay.
first time my kids had seen an ocean.
Wow.
So that was really cool. We got a lot of great pictures there, but I can't share them. But
Yeah.
yeah, man.
So
So
so did you have some savings, or did the sale of the property give you some money to kind of get you through all this time,
not
or no?
no, not what anyone would think. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's not what anyone would think. I mean, we had a little money,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like we're rolling baller status. I know when you see Stacy D and I in our farm clothes, you think millionaires, and that's not the case.
Yeah.
But when we headed out, I mean, it was just amazing, and like we had opportunities to earn money as we went, and I don't know, man. I am sold out. I believe in God. I'm a devotee of Jesus,
Yeah.
and how things work, that it always worked out. I mean, I'll say right now, amen. We were just at a gas station, just hanging out, cleaning up, and we talked to some family that was pumping gas. There was like a family with like 9 kids, and we were like, okay, man, hey, see you later. And we went over and we are just joking, making food. He walked over and gave me $100,
Really?
you know,
Wow.
and that happened more than a couple of times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it might be just a tank of fuel. I mean, what do you need? You need food and fuel, and you just keep going. So we'd meet people, and it was always like we never paid for a place to sleep, because we car camp in parking lots, or we would tent camp on BLM land, but we didn't spend money. I mean, outside of food, we didn't spend money. Our biggest expenditures was we went out to eat once per state so that we could experience that state, like something that we can remember from that state. But pretty
Okay.
much, we didn't go out there and just make it rain. We
Yeah.
pinched pennies, you know,
Oh
and it
yeah.
got kind of crampy there in California, when you get out there and it's like almost $4 a gallon, that sucked.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
a,
man, but
that takes
I don't know. It's
incredible
hard.
courage to just kind of trust in the universe. But I guess if you put your intention out there, and that you're trying to do good, and the universe is just, and God will provide.
Yeah, man. What's funny is like when people talk about it's like bold or brave. The counter to that is, what are you afraid of? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, I met 4 families on a beach over in Santa Cruz that were completely reliant in God. They had no jobs, no income, no anything. But the 4 families, husbands, wives, kids, they were having a picnic on the beach. They say they wake up every day, pray through what they're going to do. God always provides, man. They have a house that they share. They all have a car to drive. They have all the food. All their needs are met. So it's like, I think that once we conquer fear and ego, you know what I mean? Like, you have to first off think, like, not worry about what people think of you. And then what's the worst that can happen? And then you start working that backwards. It's like, well, really, how bad can that be? Let's go. Just let her rip, Tater Chip. And so
Yeah.
then you just go. I don't know. Like, I'd rather live hard and fast and have an experience than live in fear and never know anything but what I'm programmed to know. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't want that.
Absolutely, man. That's a big lesson, and we talked a little bit before the show started. Was that, I talked to you about how for the longest time I had all these ideas and things, but it was the fear for not making it perfect, or not making it just right. So it kept me from even starting. And so once I was able to get over that and just start, that was just the first step. And I'm just, I'm still working on it. I still haven't gone full gung ho. I'm looking to sell my house right now, and actually get started full time homesteading, and actually go for it. And it's it took me a little bit to just finally flip that switch in my mind and just say, hey, I'm doing this,
I was up in Wisconsin. I used to work for a company called Gordon Food Service.
Yeah.
And I was a supervisor. I had like 50 guys under me, and I was making a great salary, and I was moving on up. And I met with this guy, and he was a friend of ours, dad, and he raised his kids um, on a YMCA camp, 160 acres up in Minnesota. Right? He was just an amazing man who was just grabbing life by the home chase.
Yeah.
And I was at this job, and I told him, man, one day I would really just love to do what you're doing. I'd like to raise my kids in the wild. I would like to just grab life, by the scruff. And he just says, what are you waiting on?
Yeah.
Just as friggin' stoic as that, man. And I'm like, okay, I see. Well played, And so it's been, I've had that in the back of my mind ever since. I mean, people are like, oh, well, what are you going to do about this or that or this or that? I don't know, man. I broke one of my teeth. I had to have a tooth pulled. You know what I mean? Crap happens. You find a way. People are like, well, what are you going to do if you have a medical emergency? Well, if I ever have a medical emergency, I will take care of a medical emergency, and I'll just deal with it on the other side. But sometimes you just overplan and overplan and overplan, and then it makes you not do anything.
Right. Yeah. I've been getting more and more into the manifestation thing and trying to, that you have to take steps, really, was what I found. And you really have to first envision the thing, and then it helps to actually write it down and just kind of write out the steps that you have to take to make it happen. And then you just have to take action. You have to take action.
Yeah, and you get to meet cool people. One of our things that, or one of the people that we got to meet, shout out here to my pal Snook, who just popped in. We got to go meet her, and that was incredible. We spent a few days with her, and just being a part of her world. And that's another thing. When you meet people, it's not just about that you're meeting people, but we talk about our Tao, our path. Our paths cross, and when your paths cross, you just love hard, and then you go on with your path. You know what I mean? But like, you get to jump into somebody's world, and you actually get to know them, like, not from behind a screen. You know what I mean? And you get to really meet people, and that's what I think is really important.
Absolutely. And we're such in the time now where people are kind of losing a lot of those skills. I think, like, a lot of the interpersonal or relationship skills, and especially a lot of kids being plugged into their devices and everything now, and they don't even get those skills of getting to socialize with people, and people of all different ages and everything. It's like our public education system really kind of pegs children into their own little age groups and stuff too, so they're not really interacting with a whole mix of people. So with what you guys are doing on that journey, you guys are like exposing them to all that stuff, so that's neat. So they're going to be very able to really adapt in the world, I think.
Yeah. I just want to laugh, man. Up here, John, he says great show, but before he edited it autocorrected him to greasy show. So you have a greasy show.
Awesome.
So, but that's great. Yeah, man. The idea is the kids be well-rounded and fearless. I mean, like, what are they afraid of? That, I'm not going to go off on a tangent on kids and school and education, all that. That's not what it's about. But it's who you are, which I think I'm just going to go ahead and say, hey, this is a great segue to talk about our new project.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So you've been in the, you guys kind of champion the Global Homesteaders Collective there in the Discord and all that, and so now you are looking. Now you guys are looking to do your own thing, right? It's called the Inner Block. So what brought you to want to go in a different direction? And what's going on?
Okay, so I don't know necessarily about, let me think about the best way to put this. It's not so much that we just championed GHSC, but we were the faces of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And we were co-founders. Stacey D and I co-founded it with Steam Cafe, and it's really we were the faces of an awesome community. We got to be out there in the front, and we got to, if people needed something, we were there. We could connect, and we were just doing what we do. We just loving people, trying to love people. And the issue that we ran into was an inability to really make decisions, and so
Okay.
there's no ill feelings, no anything like that, but our time in that business relationship had run its course. As in, when you don't really know direction, I'm a hyper communicator, and there was not really a flow of information, and it put Stacey D and I in a position where we couldn't be transparent, and we couldn't give answers because we didn't know the answers, or were asked to not share certain aspects. So one of the things that happened to me, like, I know that this sucks, and I know it'll get better, but I know everyone here knows Pensive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was put in a really crappy position with Pensive just because I couldn't talk about information. So it made me look like a really sketchy character because I couldn't communicate, because I wasn't in a position to communicate, or because I didn't have information. And so it started like to have this like wear on Stacey D and I, because when people ask us questions and you have to keep saying, well, I don't know, let me check, and you never really know, well, then crap, man, it doesn't start to seem 50-50 anymore. It seems kind of like 99-1, and we're just kind of the pretty faces. And so we wanted to break out of that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that time, like I said, there's no ill feelings, because we're just individuals, and the GHSC is going to move on, and it's going to live, and there should be a good foundation there. And what we're hoping with the new project is the same but more. You know what I mean? And so Stacey D and I, we're about self-reliance. I'm a firm believer in self-reliance, that we should be responsible for our own and doing for ourselves, whether that is having a wood stove, having a water source, growing our own food, but also wellness, taking care of ourselves mentally, spiritually, physically. You know what I mean? So whether you're like, I don't know if you read the intro there. So whether you like to hunt and do yoga, or whether you like to, meditate but still listen to like heavy rock music, you know what I mean? It's like all
Right.
of these different blocks, they build who we are. Like, we have aspects of our personality that build us as people, right? And so we call those our inner blocks, like what is building us, and they're not all the same. Like, you can't take my personality and put it into one box, because there's so many different parts of me that make me who I am.
Right.
So with self-reliance, with wellness, we want to grow into a community, and we're going to focus on it being a business and make it bigger, but that it's going to be about self-reliance and wellness. You know what I mean? Because how do you feel when you grow your own food? Like, how do you feel when you're out in your garden?
It's very empowering.
It's empowering, bro. And so that's what I'm talking about. It's like, so at the same time, I talk to people about fitness. You know what I mean? How do you feel after you've been doing plank for a couple of weeks? You feel like a friggin' beast. You know what I mean? It's an empowering thing, and you're doing that for yourself. And if you could imagine the idea of, what do they say on an airplane when the oxygen mask falls? You have to put your mask on first, or you can't actually help anyone else.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine, that self-reliance is making the best versions of ourselves, and then putting us in a position to help others. You know what I mean? So the bigger picture is, if we don't know crap about who we are, then how can we help anyone else? If our mind isn't steady, how can we help somebody else steady their mind? If we don't know how to grow food, how can we help other people grow food? If we don't know how to do, braid hemp necklaces, how can we braid it for ourselves or teach anybody else? But we can have all of these skills and share them. You know what I mean? So that people can learn and grow and gain more knowledge and more skills.
Okay, so these are some of the topics that you guys want to focus on and that's my mission with, this podcast is to try to spread more knowledge on how to become more self-reliant, and I agree entirely with you is that yeah, I think that is probably the only way that we're going to mature as humanity. You kind of said earlier in the show here that one of the things you realize is that you said people are stupid, but it's just that I think we have a lot of like kind of a spiritual journey and a spiritual maturity and that to go through, and self-reliance and personal responsibility are are the key and the foundation, I think, to that. So
Oh yeah, man. And and it's a really simple idea. Over these last couple of years, I'm growing on the concept of living consciously and living intentionally. So the decisions I make through my day are not accidental. So I'm not living out of control, that I'm making decisions and I'm responsible for my decisions. And I think that that might be the broader picture. You know what I mean? To be conscious about our lives and the decisions we make and how it affects us and how it empowers us. Not to just be living on autopilot, but we can take control of our living situation. We can take control of our mental situation, our spiritual situation, our physical situation. We can make conscious decisions to build ourselves into the us that we want to be.
right, that's great. I love it, man. And so tell me a little bit about. So you have adapt to go along with the inner blocks. You
Yeah,
said
man. So it's coming. It's coming hard and fast, man. So
so,
pretty much we're not slowing down. Stacy D and I, we picked right up with our developer, the GHSC developer, and so the work and the groundwork that's already been laid is going to pick up almost seamlessly. And so we should have a DAP here, I would say maybe even within a week, right? It's still in beta and still working it through, but it's going to be a DAP. And it is, I can confidently say, like, we already have the URL and everything is laid out for it. And it's going to be a place for people to post and connect. So it is plugged into the Steam blockchain where you can use Steam Connect to log straight into it. And then it's going to grow into a place where you can get or focus more on the DIY stuff, on the projects that you're doing. And we want to focus on things that you're doing with your own hands. So it's not going to be a place where people are just making random posts about Bitcoin, but it's going to be a place where someone says, hey, look what I did in my garden, or look at the animals I'm raising, or like, look at this new yoga move I've perfected, or look at this craft here, or look at the song that I've played. But the focus is going to be really on the things that you do, your personal experience, your own adventure, things that you're doing with your own hands. You know what I mean? So
okay,
that's going to be the general direction. So then that way we can be more focused on empowering people. So you're talking about, even being able to learn new skills, so you can get in a conversation like, hey, I always wanted to learn guitar, and someone else is like, hey, I play guitar. Next thing you know, you guys are having a video chat and you're learning guitar. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
to be able to connect people, like, it's the same thing. If someone wants to grow better tomatoes, hey, Making Stuff knows how to grow tomatoes. And next thing you know, you're connecting people, you're learning more skills. Those are blocks. Those are just blocks that you're helping other people build. While they're trying to put blocks together, you can help them.
okay. So is this thing going to be something like a front end, like Steam Peak is, and it's just targeting specific content that you guys are going to manually curate, I guess, or
Yes.
okay,
Yes. So the focus, I mean, right now it's going to be manual curation to go through and find awesome content. You know what I mean? And you can tell, like, the content, like, we're not just talking about just like your basic, you know, instead of like going out and say writing a story or just a whole blog of just randomness. Let's look at content that might be somebody that might be perfecting a craft or perfecting a skill, or somebody that's working through something, somebody that's building up their lives. You can tell that in a blog or whatever you're consuming, the content, you can really tell the heart behind it. You know what I mean? So the idea is, how do we find that content, get that content upvoted, get that content spread around so that more people can see it, so that more people can be encouraged, and then more people can, well, not only can the content creator be encouraged, but then also, other people that are consuming that content be encouraged as well.
Yeah, and I've been in communication with Tib Fox for a little bit now, and he's set up something with DIY Tube that makes it so that you can like tag people's videos, and then it'll kind of like, he has a program that I guess that kind of aggregates that. Are you guys doing something similar to that, where you can like go around and just like tag and specifically curate things, and it all brings it into your DAP, I guess?
Well, the DAP, the goal would be to post through the DAP. So
Okay.
you would be on the DAP posting, and then it would cross post it over onto Steam it for you.
Okay.
So it'll be the front end. So beyond current Steam users, let's talk about people down the road that don't even know what a Steam it is. So when
Right.
they come in and you're like, hey, well, our focus is on self-reliance and wellness, what are you passionate about? Like, oh, you're passionate about music. Well, hey, that's awesome. Check out our app, check out our website here, and then get them on where they can get an account. And then the future of this is going to be that people don't even know what Steam it is. They're going to understand that all these dApps run on the Steam blockchain, but they don't know what is a Steemit. So I think that's the goal right now. Speaking of Tib Fox, I've been in talks with Tib Fox, and DIY Tube is a fairly new project, and I brought him on to GHSC because he was curating DIY videos on DTube. And
Yep.
we think that's an amazing idea. And honestly, we've been in talks with him, and I believe that Tib Fox is going to bring DIY Tube to the inner block.
Okay. Very cool.
So, yeah, because it's all about finding that cool content, getting curated, you know what I mean? And if we can start some kind of a curation for all of that quality content, like, Stacey D and I, there's a lot of aspects to this that we're still fairly new at, that people are doing amazing things. So we know that we're not in it alone. And we know that there's a lot of skill and a lot of heart out there that's going to want to jump into a project, So we have it worked out on a basic level, like a business model, to try to lay out for people kind of what we expect and what we anticipate. And then we also put in that disclaimer that, you can't predict the future. So the best we can do is just adapt as we go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this space is changing so quickly, and I totally agree with you that at some point people are going to be on this social media platform, but and getting rewards, but not really, they don't know that they're on Steam. Like you said, they're going to be on whatever front end, and Steam is going to be running in the background, and I think whoever definitely figures out how to make it the easiest for people to come on and get started right away, that's going to be one of the big things that people are going to be gravitated towards. So I
think one thing that people might see a difference is, I think one of the big things is who's behind the scenes. You know what I mean? In this, there's completely transparency. It's me and Stacey D. You know what I mean? And I think that when people learn our heart and they understand what we're about, love, kindness, empathy, feeling people, loving people, and growing with people, that we can all become the best versions of ourselves. And it may not just blow up into this big mega corporation, and just slinging revenue all over, but you know what? It's going to be a good place to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that was kind of the driving point with the GHSC. You guys kind of just want to get off and do your own thing.
Let's just say yes. That
Yeah.
we, it's just changing the heart, changing the focus. It's still in this pretty much the same, let's say the same crowd, the same group of people. There's like 10 homesteaders, and they all go to the same homesteading self-reliance websites. There's not a lot of activity currently on the blockchain in those communities, but it's the same. It's that concept of self-reliance and wellness. So it's not just focused on homesteading, not just focused on farming, but it's focused on aspects of homesteading or aspects of farming or aspects of, physical fitness. It's focused on those aspects because those aspects are what make you you. Not everyone homesteads the same. Not everyone farms the same. Not everyone works out the same. Not everyone eats the same. We don't have the same hobbies. And so it's going to be just about being able to support each other, to encourage each other, to empower each other. And I think I think it's going to cast a bigger shadow. You know what I mean? Like people are going to see it because they're like, dang, like that's Stacey D and the Yeti. Because bottom line is we just love people. You know what I mean? So if we can make it easy for people, if we have an amazing app, if we have an amazing website, if we can draw that crowd in, I think that it's going to do its own thing. It's going to be a living, breathing entity. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. So, yeah, could you tell me a little bit more about do you guys have an account started now? Is there an account for the group, or is there are you guys planning on doing anything with these smart contract tokens or anything like that?
So there's a whole lot coming. I'm not sure about the tokens. I'm focused on one thing at a time. I'll say that right now. The first thing we're going to focus on is getting that front end up and going. You know what I mean? Because right now everyone is really excited about the tokens, which I love, but I think that we need to build a stronger foundation before we look at tokenizing. You know what I mean? Or having a token in the community. So I'm going to work on getting that front end up and going. Our programmer Jason Boo is our developer. He's incredible and he works well with us. And let's get that thing up. Let's get that functional. Let's get some things rolling, and then we can talk about tokens, right? So,
yeah,
what we like to do, we have a Discord channel.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, if you want to
Nope.
drop that in the chat there.
I erased that. Stacey D, can you put a Discord link in there? So yeah, man. So we have a Discord channel. In all of this, be mindful that all of this is 1 day old. So one day old, as in we had the groundwork, the ideas for a while, and it's 1 day old. And so, but I've got the account up and going. It's on Steam. It's at The Inner Blocks. And so anybody's welcome to check that out. Please give us a follow, and we're going to kick around ideas about delegation. I think we talked a little bit about that is, we're going to look for active delegations, anything that can support the community to support those upvotes. We're going to look into auto voting delegators, which was a great idea that I picked up from a community probably a year ago. And it was however much, someone delegated, they could get an upvote on a certain percentage. You know what I mean? So then that way you can maintain that, your delegators are going to get something out of it as well. You know what I mean? And then also it's going to drive up that SP. So maybe we can increase the return. So then maybe we can increase our resource credit so we can increase our ability to onboard people. So
yeah,
we function just like in life. The Inner Blocks functions with a quote, give it all away mentality. But we really understand that it takes a little something to make the business grow. So if you can imagine, we're going to try to just give away as much as we can while still growing. And then with hold on here. I saw ingenuity here. Where did we delegate? You delegate to. Yeah, no. The old Stacey D here is like, I'll just give all of it to freedom to write. No. Delegate to at The Inner Blocks. So you can check out the account for the spelling, or check out the Discord there for spelling. Yes. Patient Zero. It says that they can learn about the Inner Block at Inner Block. Yes. Yes, it's unfolding every day. We have a who we are, so to give everyone a rundown of who we are. So the idea is to give back to the delegators, give back to the people we're upvoting, give back as much as we can. Everything that is going to be through Steam, it is going to be about giving back. So then later, I know right now it's a passion project for Stacey D and I. So the goal is with the front end to run AdSense. Okay. So we do want to have ads on the website, and then that will bring money back to the actual company. So then that will actually maybe maybe give us a little return for the effort that we've been doing, as well as giving us an opportunity to grow the community. It's like, my mind, I don't know if you've ever seen any of my vlogs, man, and how my mind works, but I have no problem. I can see this stuff on t-shirts. I can see it at conferences. I can see it on a bigger scale. And that's going to take that money, the AdSense, and time. You know what I mean? So that'll all work out. But for now, everything on Steemit is pretty much going to try to get it right back to the people.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
hopefully get the people on board and be like, because it's not just about people's content. And that's what I want people to realize when you're delegating to the inner blocks, man, is not just about us going out and upvoting somebody's content. It's not about chasing content. It's about the blocks that are making the person. You know what I'm saying? So this isn't that you're going to be delegating to support content. You're delegating to support people, human beings on the other side of the keyboard. That's what it's about.
Yeah, and that was something that I realized with what Tib Fox was doing, and that is an opportunity there, is that instead of, you can kind of think of these little communities as traditional investments in a way, in delegations as you're contributing to a share and a dividend, I guess. And so that was something that Tib Fox was doing with this DIY tube that as I'm starting to curate, I also delegated because I really believe in that project that he's putting together for Steemit, and he's putting a payout depending on your steam power delegation, going back to the delegators. So
yeah, we had a good conversation about that. He's like, yeah, I delegated a pretty fair amount, and I started talking to him because I believe in his project. I think that's I love DIY. And so I delegated, and he just came back to me like, well, holy crap. So then he had to match me on my delegation, which really helped try to push it, higher, because, like, people want that. And I want people, here's the thing, man, with the inner blocks, I'm not pushing. If someone doesn't want to be here, I don't give a crap, man, because you don't want to bring negativity to a space. You want people to want to be there. You want people to want to be involved. You want people to want to give. If people just focus on returns and what can I get out of it, then they're missing the entire thing. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, like, if it just comes back to revenue, it's the classic quote, bro, you missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we really want to promote and put out there for people, is like, it's about people in the purest form of people. Like, we all talk about supporting each other as creators. Well, I don't want to support you as a creator. I want to support you as a person. You know what I mean? Because what I'm seeing through some of your content might only be one aspect of who you are. And you might actually have another passion project. Like maybe you're building an awesome trailer. You know what I mean? Yeah. But really, you also are very passionate about classical music. And so if we have a space where you can come there and you can talk about building stuff, but you can also talk about playing classical music, now you're having two different conversations in two different directions with two completely different types of people. But then ultimately it just feeds you. It reinforces your block. You know what I mean?
So it's kind of like more about like self-development and, being able to reach out in all kinds of interests and find commonality with each other, kind of thing.
Yeah, man. But I love the phrase self-reliance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I believe that no matter any of this, we have to be reliant on ourselves. You know what I mean? So, like, you're doing self-development. Sure, somebody might say it's self-development or self-improvement. That's okay. But I say self-reliance, which means that we are putting forth the effort to learn those hobbies, to learn those skills, to get these things out there. So it's like, if you're passionate about music and you play music, well, you had to learn to play the music first. So then there might be somebody out there that really enjoys it and wants to just talk music with you. Well, that reinforces that aspect, so you're like, yeah, man, that's who I am. Or somebody else has a skill and you're like, I've always wanted to learn how to do that. You know what I mean? And so really it's about just the blocks. And then the website will give people an opportunity to make those kinds of posts. You post about the things that you love. You post about the things that you really appreciate. If you want to post about chickens, if you want to post about photography, you're posting about music, it's going to open it up to be kind of broad, but it's all going to be about personal adventure. Not
Okay.
like adventure, like you're just, let's just put content out about adventure. I mean, personal adventure, and that's what we call our life. Some people call it a journey, but bro, we know it's an adventure.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely is. Yeah, and it really takes, every breath that we have, we're very, we're lucky to experience it, and yeah, I really appreciate you for your acknowledgement of God, and spreading that word here on the blockchain too. A lot of people kind of shy away from that, and it's good. It's refreshing to see people to be open about it and to talk about their spirituality and their faith and stuff like that. So that's another thing I
Yeah, it's
appreciate.
funny. Well, bro, I appreciate you. It's about fear. And it's like we're out here, we're in this like digital space where we don't actually know each other. How the heck can you be scared of each other? You know what I mean? Like, oh, is somebody going to downvote me? Okay. It's like, but that doesn't change who we are. You know what I mean? So it's like, they say that your vibe attracts your tribe. Stacey D and I, we're a bit of like digital anarchists. Not that we're political anarchists, but like we'll just do what we want, do what we feel. And we have that mindset. We want to encourage people, like, don't worry about what people think. Let's build those blocks, man.
Absolutely, man. I look forward to the project and looking forward to what you guys are bringing out with the DAP and all that. And yeah, it's I'm about to. We got another guest coming up, but is there anything else that you'd like to close out with to the audience?
Yeah, man, I'd say come check it out. Come join the Discord. Come check out to see what's going on in the website because we say big things are happening, and I tell everybody that every day that I wake up, I have an opportunity to make something happen. It may not always be consistent, but it's always going to be amazing because I have that opportunity. And that's how we should look at things. And so when it comes to who we are and how we are, we shouldn't worry about what people think. And you know what? We should look for encouragement. We should look for opportunities to be built up, as well as look for opportunities to build others up and to encourage other people. So that's it.
Awesome, brother. Yeah, it's something that's really important, and to especially where we are with the times that we're living in right now, is to find that connection with each other instead of trying to be divided. I mean, we have people that are trying to play people against each other, but that's really what it's going to take to move past everything and to kind of create a brighter future, I think so.
Oh yeah, man. I don't know. I don't use the word hate very much, but I hate division. Like I hate things that come between people. Like passionately hate separation, division. So
Yeah.
let's bring it back together, man.
Amen, brother. Amen. Yeah.
All right.
So,
Well, thank you for having me on, man. This has been a blast. I look forward to it. Hope you get the word out.
yeah, brother. Thank you for coming on and joining me. I really appreciate you taking your time out this morning and, coming on is kind of a last minute thing, but, you kind of threw me for a loop with that announcement, and I was like, "Hey, man, you just want to come on and talk about it?" And I really appreciate you coming on the show with me today.
Oh yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
All right, Yeti, appreciate you, brother. All right, guys. So that's Freedom Point, and they got the Yeti, also AKA the Yeti. And check out their new project, the Inner Blocks, and looks like they got a pretty neat new group that's coming out. So yeah, take a look at what's going on there and give them some support. And if that's something that you're looking to, and interested in, so. All right, so my next guest today, you guys are pretty familiar with him, but he's got some exciting news that he's got going on. So once again, thank you to Freedom Point, Freedom to Write, and the Inner Blocks Project. Thanks for coming on the show. My next guest today is going to be Gregory Patrick, and he's going to tell us some of the news that he's got going on, and we're going to get a little bit of an update from him and check in. So, hey, Greg, how's it going, man?
Hey, bud, how you doing, dude?
Hey, pretty good, man. Let me see. Let me turn it down just a little bit here. So if everybody is not familiar with Gregory Patrick, maybe he's a DJ that is on with Information War, and they do a show on MSP, and Greg, you have some interesting new developments that have happened in a book that you've been working on, huh?
Yeah, man, it's been like a living hell getting it out, but I do have a book that's finally out on Amazon right now, and I'm super proud of it. It took me forever, and it's been years and years and years in the works, but I call it The Coming Cataclysm, and I'd love to talk all about it, you know what I mean? Like I said, it's like a fantasy novel. It's a full-length novel. It's not like a short story or anything like that, guys. So it's I could go on and on about it, man. I'm just thrilled it's actually happening. You know what I mean?
Wow. So okay, yeah, you were telling me a little bit about it. So you were working on this book and you were going to release it, or you had it all ready to go in like 2014, right? But you had a really hard time finding somebody to publish it, I guess.
Yeah, getting anything published with the publishing houses, like, you get taught that that's the way it is. If, like, you went to university, they say this is the process. If you go through that process nowadays, it is just not the way it used to be. Like, that is tough. I finally was able to get it into a publishing house, but, it just, I don't get along with people very well. How it is. It could be argumentative, I suppose, but I did my best to work with them, and eventually, they never really got it out, So I finally got the rights back, and I got it to a new publisher. And I mean, things have changed since the last 5 years, anyway, man. I'll tell you. And I was able to get it out on Kindle Direct. I don't know if everyone knows how the ebook thing is what it's all about, too. I was hoping I could let people know, like, even if it's through like that company, you don't like need a Kindle by any stretch. Like nowadays, these ebooks, they're just all apps. It's just a security app to access your account, and you can put it on anything, like your TV. You can put it on any device, like your cell phone. Like that's what it's all about nowadays. Like, so even if it has that logo on it, it's ubiquitous. The thing, it's free app. It's everywhere. So
yeah. So
that's where I'm at with it.
So what was that process like getting this published for the Kindle? Like, could you go through some of that process?
Well, for me, it was really pretty quick and easy when it comes to that. I mean, there was some waiting and stress, and, it had to be reviewed and approved, all that stuff. But because I had worked with a publishing house in New York, like it was perfectly ready to go, formatted, like the dialogue was all in the right order. There's no grammar problems and, nothing like that, So, I mean, I did all the copy editing myself, so I'm still crossing my fingers that there isn't anything in there, But as far as I could tell, that's where it's at. And that's a huge thing. Also did all my own illustrations and things as far as that goes, So being that, it took me a good year or so just to learn how to use the computer to get here. So if you have that down, it'll be pretty easy. But yeah, if you do it the way I did it, they won't help you with it. You're on your own. Like you have to stand by your own product. You have to, like I said, just get everything done yourself. And, basically it's on you. You could pay money too to get help. You could always hire a graphic artist. There's a million things to do, but when it comes to, like, I own, the cover and what's inside, and the whole thing, you know what I mean? And because it's, right now, like, man, I'll tell you, I want a physical copy. That's what I want most in the world, to tell you the truth. But I went with ebook, man, because, like, it's a hell of an investment. I don't have, like, the money to compete with Oprah. Oprah can just buy $50,000 worth of her book day one and say, I have a bestseller. You know what I mean?
Right.
I gotta like earn every single book sale, man. You know, I'm hoping I'm being effective trying to convince people, but
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, I hear you. Yeah, so right now you can pre-order the book, I guess, on Amazon.
yeah, it's right there on Amazon now. You know, it's only $4.99 on Amazon right now. Like I said, you can put it on as many devices as you want, and like if this does go well, the physical copy is next. I can get that going while I'm writing another book. Absolutely no problem because everything's all set up. You know, so all I would have, you know, and again, I want to include the steaming community as much as possible with this. You know, well, one thing is like once you're in a contract, though, you're in a contract. Like I can't sell this book separately from what on this website I'm putting in now. Like that has to be where I go. Now there is things I could do for the steaming community, but that's where things get extremely complicated. You know, man.
Yeah, yeah, that was going to be my question. And I tried to, I guess, ask this question to you a little bit earlier. Was that if you were considering to offer it for Steam on like something like the Homesteaders Co-op or something like that?
I would absolutely love to. You know, there's a few ways to get there though. Like right now, like I have kids and money in the bank. You know, so here's what I have to do, and this is what I think I can do. This I will be offering the steaming community as many as I can. I it's sort of like a double-edged sword. Like I really can't have everybody. Like the pre-order sales are super key because there's no way Amazon's going to help me naturally unless I have some book sales. Like if I make it on their radar, that's when they might start putting me up front and giving me a shot. But if I don't get any pre-order sales, I might just, you know, languish, you know, in obscurity, as they say. The old cliche goes. But yeah, it's like if I can definitely give people because it's an ebook. It's the easiest thing in the world to get people to file. But to do it legit and you know make right by everything, follow the rules, and keep my word, I have to make sure that Amazon gets the copies first. Like I don't want to break a contract right out of the gate. I'm pretty conscious about all that stuff.
Okay.
So the thing would have to be is like I can sponsor a few of them. Like I could say maybe 50 or 100 copies or something like that. But what would have to happen is the cash would have to go to Amazon first. They'd have to go and actually buy the book to make things all legal and everybody happy. And then I would be able to accept the Steam and send the copy to whatever email address there is, you know. So that's where things get a little. This is all new territory as far as I know. I don't know anybody else who's attempting this. I mean, it's almost like scalping your own or bootlegging your own stuff at that point. But
Okay.
I feel like there's a couple ways to go. Like I can cover it myself just so I can get my book out there. Like you know, that would instead of me giving Amazon money to like put me on the top of their list, I can invest my money into making sure people on Steam get copies of the book. They
So
can send me the Steam. I'll cover it out of my own pocket.
so
You
those
know,
are
make sure everything's legal.
so those are the stipulations with Amazon in the contract for being able to put it up on their Kindle app and everything is that you have to sign some kind of contract with them or something.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to look at the contract yourself because I can't legally even give you the details of the contracts. You have to make it there so you find out. This is how they operate, not me. Trust me on that. But you know, I'm not like I said. See, here's the thing though. I would like them to help me. Like they have a lot more eyes on them than any other place right now. A book like mine, so you know. But
Yeah.
this is something you would. This is something you deal with anybody. Like you sign a contract. You sign a contract. Almost everybody. If you're a first time author, they're going to have exclusivity in there. Like that. Like I said, the last person that had it, they had a couple of years to do an old fashioned print run, which, like I said, I wasn't willing to put any money up for. So I wouldn't have even made a nickel until I sold so many copies to pay for the print run. Like that's how first authors get a deal through publishing houses nowadays. And sometimes they put you on a list, but say they don't sell the books that they want to sell, you're just sort of sitting there. You know, they might be all happy to have you on the team. Doesn't mean they put you out to play. You know, that happens with movies and music and any kind of screenplay. Like that's a big thing. Like a lot of writers deal with. It's across the board too. That of big companies shelving your stuff for either a minimal retainer fee or nothing at all. You know, they get you in a contract. It's kind of rough. But Amazon's not doing that. They don't do that. They just put your stuff out, you know, and they don't charge either. Like, you know, they're not going to ask somebody for upfront money. If they approve your book and they reviewed it, it's up to their standards. They won't charge you money. they will not publish everything. They will tell you you need to take this class, and then you might end up spending money to say if you don't know how to like indent a paragraph or quote a bit of dialogue, you're probably going to need some help. You know what I mean? Like, but if you have all that stuff down, you're good.
Okay.
This is a complicated. I would like to know like I said, like you could sign with any publisher and they're going to say exclusivity, but they want the sales. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with Ben Shapiro or Oprah Winfrey buying 10,000 copies of their own book and giving them away on their show. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not a problem. They don't. That's fine. As long as everybody's above board, that's what's important. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So, what? So the book is titled "The Coming Cataclysm," and so you said this is a fantasy novel, but you've got some elements of some maybe occulted stuff in there.
Yeah. It's it like the technical term for this kind of style is urban fantasy. And there's like the high fantasy and the urban fantasy, and they kind of like represent the two ends of the spectrum. Like if you think high fantasy, you think like J.R.R. Tolkien and like old bard's tales with elves and all that kind of thing, like orcs fighting the dwarves, like the classic stuff you'd see in like The Hobbit or something to that effect, or a Dungeons and Dragons book, perhaps.
Yeah.
And urban fantasy is more like Game of Thrones, where it's just people dealing with human problems, people problems, and there is like supernatural stuff going on, So
Yeah. So Rondon asks if you're gonna do a books on tape reading. That'd be pretty intense with the Gregory Patrick book on tape.
Oh yeah, well, I mean that would be that actually never occurred to me that anyone would want to hear my voice for 320 pages straight. Hey, why not? I like, honest to God though, like that's the plan. It's you know how it is with investments and deferring gratitude. Like any amount of money I make off the initial ebook run is going to pay for a print run. And like I said, when you pay for your own stuff, you're actually doing pretty good. Like back when I signed up to get this job or whatever, it was a different world. I thought I'd be sitting inside of a bookstore like Barnes and Noble signing hardcovers to people, like sell one box a day, 20 a day, you know what I mean? Like that's the gig, you do that once a month or something like that, But
yeah.
Those are coffee shops now, and they don't really sell all that many books there. So, I mean, that's the thing. It's tough. Convincing people to buy a book in general is pretty tough. I can tell you that. Like oh man, I need all the help I can get. Especially like honestly, like when it comes to outside of like the niche networks. Like if you're not on BitChute or Steemit or something, you don't know I exist. So anybody out there with any kind of Twitter or YouTube presence or Facebook presence, like I would owe you $1 million if you could get my name out and help me out. That would be amazing. But it all would come back in. That's the thing. Like it, I wouldn't really be. I'm not going to be spending anything on bubblegum until I'm 20 years from now, older. It would going back into. The next time it comes around for it, it would be a print run and an ebook run out of the gate because I would save the loot to make that happen.
Yeah.
But,
so what inspired you to write this book? Like, where did you draw your inspiration from? Was this something that you've been wanting to do for a long time, or did you have maybe a dream or something, or what brought you to want to write this?
Well, it's just I think probably one of the earliest memories I ever had was playing Phantasy Star on Sega Master System with my brothers and sister. I just that was the thing. It's like, oh, you're bored. Here's a book. That was the way it was around here. We read and read. Like that was the cool thing to do. I don't know. And then there was no such thing as an intimidating book. Like when the Game of Thrones books did come out, like I think probably about 25 years ago or something like that. I mean, we had them in paperback, you know what I mean? They were laying around, so there was no excuse not to read them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So is that one of the authors that you might have been inspired from is the George R. R. Martin, or are there any authors that you kind of draw some inspiration from?
Not as much with Martin. I mean, like I wrote urban fantasy. I started writing this before any of that was big. That was just one of the many. Like I thought that the Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan was going to be more of a mainstream thing by now. The Sword of Truth was a good one. That one had a horrible ending, a couple of bad twists, but they made that into a TV series. There's been a few that have made it through that, like right now I'm reading a lot of Patrick Rothfuss and Brandon Sanderson. These are the guys that do like epic sagas, that's what I mean. Like I didn't set out to make some weird tome too. Like if people think fantasy novels and they think saga, which is, I could bore everybody with word count, but an average novel is about 60,000. Mine clocks in at about a little over 70. It's actually like not, some fantasies will top out in 100,000 or something, like well over 250,000. So you're talking like 1,200 page ridiculous sized books that people look at them and they're like, nah, I'll see the movie. I'll check the series. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But, I didn't.
So is this book one in a series that you're planning on doing, or is this like kind of a standalone thing?
Oh, I feel like the genre of fantasy is all about world building. It's about taking somebody out of where they're at and bringing them someplace else. It's unlike a crime drama where it's real and gritty and you almost feel like you're in the situation. It's almost like you can be an observer and like again, there's magic to it. Like even with it wouldn't be a fantasy if there wasn't some sort of supernatural presence in there. And it's just about it has fun. There is a lot to it. But I don't know. If you have these ideas, you have to. And like I said, when it's world building, like this world now exists. It's out there. It's on the internet. It's on the block. It'll be on the blockchain very shortly. You know how it is. So now this world is there. It could have a future and a past. It could have more things going on in the present. It's a physical place. I spent a lot of time with character development. That was key for me. It's not like a series of silly events or unfortunate misgivings. It's good. I don't know. I'm hoping everybody sees it the way I do. It is.
Yeah. So what's could you give the premise of the story? Like maybe kind of paint the picture for everybody.
Well, yeah. I mean, basically, think of it. It was a world where a creator came and wanted a utopia a long time ago, kind of thing, and so set it up so that we would have an easy life and gave everybody bits and pieces of his the power that he had, the divine strength that you would think of as that happening. Like I said, this one is less about wizards. It's more about a lot of ancient mysteries and stuff like that. It's my time from the Freemasons comes through quite a bit. So the symbology and the ceremony and thing like that I have firsthand experience. I had to show it somehow, man. It's you swear oaths not to give about all the secrets, but you can write a book. So I went, you can do that, and sort of like again, to just like I said, it's not just fantasy writers. I definitely read a lot of Brown, the Da Vinci Code kind of thing, and had some fun in that respect. But so like I said, of course, certain people started elevating themselves above everybody else, and
yeah. So you're putting some elements of the Masons in there, huh? So it's like you're kind of maybe revealing some things in the book. Hello? You still there? Hello? You still, Greg? Can you hear me? Hey, Greg, can you hear me? Hey, I'm not sure what's going on here. But everything kind of cut out on me. That's strange. Whoa. What's going on here? Communication turned off. What's going on? Hey, do we got a power surge or something? Hey guys. Yeah, I had some kind of power surge that's going on, and it totally kicked off my router. So I apologize about that. Um, well, I get got the lights flickering, and the power's kind of coming in and out, so I'm not sure what's going on, but yeah. Yeah, if you just want to stream what you got, and then we can just finish it off from here. Sorry about this, Ron. Sorry, guys, for this issue. It's just like I was I was going, and then it just all. It's the deep state, man. It- you started talking about the Freemasons, and things bad things start happening. Yeah, that's weird. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, just lost all the power. We got a little bit of high winds coming in. It looks like, but nothing too crazy though. So yeah, yeah, good to go. Good to go. All right, all right. So yeah, we were sorry about that, everybody, but a little bit of a. All right, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I got a little bit of technical difficulties here. There's a power surge and kicked off the router and everything, so it killed the stream. So uh, Yeah, Greg is gonna stream. Gregory Patrick's gonna stream, and we're gonna keep it rolling. So I appreciate you guys hanging in there. But so yeah, where did we leave off? We are talking a little bit about what your inspirations were, and some of the topics that you're putting in the book are some things that are related to the Masons and stuff, huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you listen to me so far, explaining this like live without any of the romanticisms and stuff like that, it all sounds like really harsh and dark and blunt. You know what I mean? Putting like some sort of fictional spin on it makes this information better to take in. It's not just me, saying everyone's dumb for believing in the Mueller probe. Because that's a blunt way of putting things. But of course, like I said, this isn't about topical politics either. Like, I didn't actually make this a political book or anything like that. But the part of the character development is like going, through, the trials of the weird ancient ceremonies and stuff like that. There are a few different characters that don't necessarily meet. I can't. This is one of the first times I've ever actually tried to talk about it live. By the way, if I keep stopping and stammering, because I don't want to give away the twists and stuff like that or anything. Or
Yeah,
any
definitely.
surprise, but because, like I said before, like this is like a separated world. It's not Earth by any means. Like I said, it's a totally new place, totally new cities. I mean, there's a lot of things that are taken from the real world just so there's some sort of basis in reality. It's not completely like I didn't want to make it a Harry Potter world where everything was named Hogwarts. That's its own thing. I didn't think it fit the theme of what I was writing. Not that I don't love that stuff too. I watch that every Christmas show. But
Yeah, so maybe we could go into a little bit about your writing process. Now are you like are you one of the writers that you just kind of like let things flow? You ever run into some writer's block as you're writing this thing?
Actually, no. Writer's block, I don't get that very often. Sometimes I get indecisive about what I want to write about, but I have so much. I have like multiple stories I'd like to get out too. Like not just this series in this world, but like actual like horror stories that are very much in the real world and things like that. My process is horrible though. Myself in a room and smoke 100 cigarettes and work 16 hours a day for weeks on end, kind of thing. Workaholic is sort of a problem. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like that's it is like I write a lot. I just like to do it. That's the way it is. I feel like I don't know, personally too. I feel like I get my point across better with the written word. I don't have a terrible accent on paper. I don't sound like I don't sound like Patrick from SpongeBob SquarePants or something. You know what I mean? It's a lot easier for people to see what I'm saying. I feel like, well, that's the hope anyway. That's the dream, I guess.
Yeah. So it was interesting that you sent me the title of this thing. That it was almost serendipitous. It seems like, because I have been kind of doing my own deep dive into some of the hidden knowledge of our past with recently picking up the book from a friend. A friend just gave the book to me. It's the Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, which
I love that. Thoth, right? Thoth of Egypt or whatever.
Yeah, so you're familiar with the Emerald Tablets?
I love me some Thoth, man. Oh yeah. Yeah. I know. Yeah, that's what I'm. That I know. I could have. I had the option of being Graham Hancock. I swear to God, like I could have just done videos like that guy. Because before there was like the YouTube with all these videos, man, I was like literally going to the Freemasons library and pulling the book about ancient Egypt off the shelf, dusting it off, and reading through all this stuff personally. Yeah, man. Oh, I could all day, dude. Yeah, dude. I'm glad there's more people out there for sure, dude. That's what I'm talking about, dude.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I get all excited, dude.
yeah, yeah. So Rondon, I guess I'm back. I guess my Wi-Fi is back now, but it just popped me back into Discord. But I see Rondon just said, yeah, have you guys read the recently declassified book, The Adam and Eve Story? So that was just what I had sent to Greg, and he, he sent me the title of his book. And so I just saw about that, and I've been reading the compendium of the Emerald Tablets here, where Thoth claims to in the book that Billy Carson wrote. He's speculating that Thoth was an Atlantean. He was able to escape the Earth during one of the big cataclysms. He foresaw the cataclysm and actually escaped the Earth and came back with a certain amount of people to reestablish civilization and mankind's civilization, to kind of take people from the Stone Age back to and build civilization again. And so, yeah, what do you think about all that? What do you think about the possibility of that?
Well, I 100% I saw that. I probably watched that one 3 times. The CIA papers about Adam and Eve. This is amazing coincidence. Like, I think that sometimes God does love me. Like, I did write a book that made him look nice, I suppose. But so like I said, I didn't say it was like arcane powers or nature. I said it was like divine. No, this magic comes from a deity. So there we go.
So
Maybe
does it? So does your book kind of relate to this document about the?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
I've been obsessed with that my whole life because I've seen things that just didn't make sense. I've always believed in like the tales and giants aren't parables. I always felt that there was more to it than that. And there's just so much evidence that the world has been destroyed. Now, like when I say the coming cataclysm is supposed to be dramatic. It is supposed to invoke a little bit of doom, because look, it's some sort of, but it is just a technical name for a cataclysm. Is a massive disruption and change. It's not that things are completely destroyed or annihilated or gone. A cataclysm is like almost an instant, complete remaking of everything. And what I'm like that the reason it's not like the book is, as you see probably in the first few chapters, that sort of foreboding is in the entire thing as far as it goes. And that the cataclysm is coming. That's like the goal of not just the main character or the supporting characters, like everybody, and I feel like now, like I said, you talk about serendipity, man. Now people, I swear, feel this feeling in real life way more than they did when I wrote the book. Like this whole feeling of being walled off or being trapped. Like, I don't think that is, I think a lot of people know exactly what I'm talking about. And this is everybody in their own way is trying to figure out, get out. And they're, you know what I mean? It's like they're in an open air prison, so to speak. And they want freedom. They want, to be alive. They want to feel, like in control of things instead of being controlled from above, people who are stuck in class systems will understand what I'm talking about. That feeling is in there. And I again, this isn't without it being a textbook or like Atlas Shrugged, where it's just all 100-page speeches that's all monologue. You know what I mean? Like, none of that. Like, this is like a really actual. It's what I did is I took my mother graduated as an English major from BU, Boston University, and my brother had just recently gone through the writing program at Northeastern University. So I stole all their books, So I really put a whole hell of a lot of effort. It wasn't like again, because I'm not if you put out like verbal soup, like sort of like what I'm like like a live radio diatribe like I'm doing now, that won't really pass muster. It has to be right, and so I put a hell of a lot of time into getting it right, and yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. So what I found fascinating in this book, the Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, Billy Carson, he is a trained in aerospace engineering. Since he was like 11, he self-studied aerospace engineering, and so the Emerald Tablets supposedly, they're one of the earliest things, and a lot of our great thinkers drew influence from the translations of the Emerald Tablets. And so what Billy Carson speculates is that Thoth was a remnant of the Atlanteans, and he in the book has talked about he's lived for several cycles, and it was like 100,000 years, and he's able to do some kind of consciousness transfer, and so right now we're just getting into some of the science that's talking about how this could be a possibility. And so Thoth was somebody that was able to understand how to do this consciousness transfer, and they talk in the Emerald Tablets. It talks about the halls of Amenti, and going down to the halls of Amenti in some kind of maybe stasis chamber for his body, as he astral projects his consciousness and can transfer it to another body or something like that.
Well, I'll tell you. I always heard it as Toth. Maybe that's just because I'm Irish and don't like those THs. But
yeah,
but,
could Toth, Toth. I don't know.
As long as you put butter on it, it's delicious.
Yeah.
But, anyway, but yeah, like the Freemasons, pretty hardcore ones that were very traditionalist. Like in Manchester's one of the oldest ones. We got a really nice hall here. It's all Greek architecture, like 5 stories. It's beautiful place, absolutely beautiful. We have like a museum. We have a bunch of stuff from the Revolutionary War. Blah de da da. It was amazing, mind blowing, and they were into it. Like they showed an appreciation. One of the things they taught me though, which I guess not every hall really wants to get into the spirit of, is like their actual purpose is to preserve knowledge. When the marauders burned the great library in Alexandria, like the world wept. We got set back, 1,000 years when things, and that stuff happens all the time. The modern day people, there are terrible armies that are going in the ancient places and smashing things today, smashing the artifacts and erasing the past. That is horrible. Like the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, some people will say they never existed. There's fabrications. There's all sorts of stuff like that. But I feel like preserving that knowledge is key. Like I don't know. I mean, that's why I spent so much time learning weird ciphers and learning all these silly ceremonies. Well, another thing too. Like I said, like when it comes to like Robert Jordan, he was a Freemason, and I read all of his books. And same thing with George R. R. Martin's a Freemason. All of these authors are also Freemasons, and every single one of them did exactly what I did. They all put their life experiences into their books. I don't know if anybody has read the other stuff. Like I could tell you exactly point for point, like, okay, Matt entered the Twisted Terregriel into the doorway and met the snakes and foxes. This was the second ceremony on your way to becoming a Master Mason. That was second degree Freemasonry in the Blue Lodge when they went to the world through the portal. And he came out hoodwinked and hung. Like I sat there, I'm not even joking you. When I was going through my Master Mason stuff and all these Mason ceremonies, I'm like, holy shit, I'm living the Wheel of Time. I was just freaking out. Because I'm like, wait a minute, Matt had a blindfold on and he had a noose around his neck and he had a spear point through it. Like, holy shit, like all this stuff is happening to me. I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, now I understand my writers so much better. Like that's what I was like. When I came on, I'm like, I don't want to trash these guys. There's value in this stuff, like this ancient, weird crypt. Granted, there's some evil stuff too, but hey, man, no one's perfect.
Yeah. So you're able to see the things that these guys are talking about. They're actually relaying some of the things in masonry, like the blindfold and the noose is like Hiram Abiff, right?
No, Hiram Abiff is the third level. What happened to Hiram? A few people kidnapped Hiram Abiff, and they tried to get the secret handshake and the code to get paid. See, all right, like the original Masons had all these secret handshakes and passcodes and weird things because they didn't have a good way of tracking people who were doing work on Solomon's temple. This is one of the stories, anyway.
Okay.
So, all the people were taught a specific way to get paid. So that there was a trusted group of people, like they were hired, and it was in an age where people just did day labor and nobody had last names. It's not like we had social security cards and e-verify back in those days. So to get paid, people had to, be hired. And, that was sort of the beginning of these weird ceremonies.
Uh-huh.
So like, no, if if you're one of us, you'll know to, grab the third knuckle down with your thumb and shake twice up and down, stuff like that. And you'll say a certain thing with a certain accent. And that's how we know. And, that's how you get paid. So not everybody off the street can cheat you guys. That's how it all started. So three guys wanted to rip off the Temple Masons. They wanted to rip him off. So they cornered him, and they tried to make him give him up all these symbols and stuff like that, all these ways to cheat the secrets. And he died for it, and they buried him. Again, so there's there's the branch that the robbers marked him with so that they could come back and move the body later, that the Freemasons discovered. So we have a symbol. I mean, I don't know. I could probably dig out some symbols right now if you guys, but that's like the Freemasons are, again too, like I didn't write I'm not, I would just tell people the truth about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've looked into it, and I know little pieces of the story, and it kind of seems like it does kind of relate back to Thoth. Maybe like some of this information was just kept passed down somehow through the eons, and certain people kind of kept it. Because in the Emerald Tablets, it talks about how, Thoth only brought in a certain amount of humans into his circle, I guess, and was able to teach or try to pass the wisdom on from what he had to help people ascend and become grow toward the light and bring more light into the world.
Well, I feel like that. I think at least the Greek term is apotheothesis. That's a lot of people in this religion. I mean, it actually it's big in Mormonism. They took it to a different level. It's the idea that we can elevate ourselves from where we're at to a higher level. It's like a Christian version of Nirvana, where you yourself can become a god. You can apo is to change and thesis is to God. So, change into a God, you ascend to a higher level of existence. And that has always, I mean, I don't know, here's the thing. When it comes to this stuff, there's a commonality between all of the ancient tales and the timing of the flood stories. And when it comes to like Thoth, if you compare him to any, those stories to me, remind me of the very ancient Hindu text where they talk about Vihamanas, flying spaceships having battles with higher entities visiting Earth and bestowing us parts of their knowledge, and those are the things that sort of made it into my writing. That's what I mean. It's I feel like it's a little deeper and a lot cooler than I learned how to wiggle my fingers a certain way or speak Latin. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot more layers to our culture and our just humanity, our history. That I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying there's any promised power in it or anything strange like that. But it's very interesting, even if you don't believe in this stuff, to see what it's all about.
Yeah,
because some people do believe in it. So it's sure as hell is it's real on that level. People do. It's real that people think it's real. I don't know how real it actually is, if that makes any sense.
Well, there's a lot of things that kind of can corroborate the stories. I mean, you have all these ancient civilizations that describe a a major cataclysm and a major flood, and it's apparent through all the through a lot of the different civilizations, and then yeah, um, you do have all these structures around the world that look like they just look like they were just eradicated, and there was
Yeah.
something major that happened, especially a lot of these really gigantic structures and these really large stone structures that look like they were obliterated.
Well, there's weird things, and like I said, when you go really far back, you run into like the Middle East and you run into India. Like there's those are like the oldest of the old civilizations, man. Like stuff from beyond time, and I do believe that because of cataclysms, that's why it's beyond our time and reach. Like Gobekli Tepe, I think it's the one in Turkey
Yeah.
that is just like it was covered in sand. Now I don't see, this is what I mean. I would love to argue with anthropologists, like a real one. Like I trust me, guys. You help me become a best-selling author. I will call up anthropologists on podcasts and yell at them for the steam. I would love to. You know, give me a better resume, and I'll
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
like I don't know, man. I don't believe a lot of the stuff they believe. I really don't. I just
well,
don't.
well, I do believe that everything kind of happens in cycles, and it kind of makes sense to me that a lot of people speculate, maybe there is another planet that kind of is like has this really crazy orbit, elliptical orbit around our
Yep.
sun, and comes in, and that can cause a lot of problems. Like we have the whole asteroid belt around us. If something like that comes in, it could just like disturb all the gravity and do all kinds of stuff that could increase the likelihood of a cataclysm on the planet.
Yeah, I mean, we have all these things in our placated, really moving Armageddon. What we're gonna do is we're gonna Jemmy and Bruce Willis, and we're gonna launch them up and then blow up the asteroid. If an asteroid's coming, we're screwed. You know what I mean? We're screwed. And there is evidence like that asteroids, for instance, hit actually kind of in the northeast United States, like up towards was it New Brunswick, past there to Labrador, into like northeastern Canadian soil.
Yeah.
There's massive craters, and then again too, and like I was saying about India, like there's impact craters that go beyond like what we even consider natural. Like we're talking like 10 miles worth of glass outside of a crater that looks like a nuclear blast erupted there. So we don't know what hit us. We don't know at all what's going on. And our theories, if you all right, see, here's the thing. Like I always like I never want to look down on myself. I never want to let anybody else say that because they have some sort of pedigree, they have a better opinion or the ability to do better critical thinking than a person like me. I would never accept that. So maybe that's, again, that also makes me extremely anti-authoritarian and anti-authority in general. So I don't know if you noticed that, but anyway, the theories don't add up, like the extinction theories, like, so like the,
Damn it.
I really don't think they do, so I don't know. I like to do all the thinking I can for myself. I like to go and I like to see it for myself as much as possible. Like I said, I like to hold the artifacts too. I'm not going to Egypt anytime soon, but man, I would love to see some of that stuff and talk to the people that know more about it. But I had the way I wrote like fantasy too. I approached it with these stories in mind because I think there's enough. The genre itself is sort of Nordic. It's our bards, it's our storytellers, it's our grandpas telling these stories. We didn't have like a big written language, so we developed this sort of cultural thing to make. We can be windbags. I don't know if that's noticeable either, but it is what it is. And to me, there's plenty of that already. We already have a lot of like I said, arcane stuff, and that goes back to our Latin and romantic roots. We already have that. We have Shakespeare. We have that. So what I wanted to do is take that style That style of like, okay, let's light the fire on the cold night. Let me tell you about, let me tell you a story, kind of like engagement narrative. I wanted to use that, but I wanted to take all the things that I knew about like ancient Egypt and possibly like Atlantis theories and the magic that people have through meditation. Like every religion has some sort of bet. Like I'm telling you, like there's one part in the book where I'll just give a quick hint or a giveaway where a lot of their gift is focused on the words they use. Now, if you've ever seen 10,000 people chanting same tones, and after 5,000 years of learning what tone does what, like you can change the way a city feels with your voice. If enough voices gather together and sing in unison, that itself is real life power. It's
Yeah.
you know what, like do you just all you got to do is take that up a little bit, take it up another notch, give it a bit more supernatural effect, and you have something magical. I think you know what I mean. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and that was something that I kind of experienced myself when I went to that rainbow gathering thing with all the hippies that kind of. Yeah, can you hear me?
My kids.
Can you hear me?
I don't know. Can anyone else hear or making stuff? I got my kids behind me trying to distract me at the same time, so I feel bad. I don't know. What's up, guys? Can anybody hear me?
Yeah. Am I coming in at all?
Yeah. The receiver volume dropped just a lot.
Yeah. It keeps kicking me on and off of yeah. So
Well, we got 10 minutes. I mean, I could do my windbag thing. It's up. It's all you, dude. What do you want to do?
Yeah, here we go. Hold on just a second. Let me directly plug into this, and then maybe that'll help. So, all right. So yeah, yeah, it's fascinating, man, and I just I think that there's a lot to our past that has been kind of it's been very obscured, and it is cool, like even to speculate. It's really fun to just speculate on what could have been, or what the past could have been. Knowing some of these things about history that you dig up from little pieces of information here and there, and that CIA document that just got released. Declassified, it is super perplexing too, where it talks about apparently there was only like 57 pages of a 200 something page document that were declassified, and so they scrubbed the document and stuff. So it's pretty interesting. That's awesome, man. So you guys are you guys gonna do a little food plot garden as well?